Yes, over here.
Are you going to pull it for us again?
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Darcy. I'm the founder of Share Your Mana, and this afternoon we are hosting several advisory committee members who are here to provide a panel presentation and discussion with the Maui County community in order for us to just bring all of our mana together. I would invite Auntie Faith to do a little pule for us, please.
Mahalo. Oh, you want to introduce one of them? Just keep going. First of all, mahalo for our advisory panel, committee panel. Thank you so much. Mahalo kia hua for ikia la, ikia halavai, for the aloha, the mana, that we have a productive meeting, that we can talk about things that sometimes aren't as easy, experiences, so we can inspire other people to come forward and talk about those seasons of their lives that maybe are just a little uncomfortable, but we know that are valuable to others. And we want to just bless this room and everybody in it, and as they travel home, and that the future holds great resolve and solutions that will serve all of Maui and Hawaii Kai Apa. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Amen.
So grateful for everyone who came today and is maybe going to review this video later on sometime in the future. Mahalo for your time. We recognize time is very valuable. My name is Lisa Darcy. I'm the founder of Share Your Mana. It's a nonprofit here in Maui County. It is focusing on supporting individuals who live unhoused, unsheltered, houseless, homeless. There are so many different categories of need. Each of them has different ways to approach the recovery process, and we are made up purely of individuals with lived experience and volunteers. Just a little bit about myself. I have been in this field of community service since my junior year of college, and that was back in the 80s, so just FYI, I am a lot older than I act. That's important to know. The work that I've done has primarily been with mental health and working in programs that are recovery-based and person-centered, which means that the individuals are your partner in collaboration. It is a way of addressing needs through partnership and providing options and resources. That's the lens by which this group and we as a group will be talking about the needs in the community in order to really provide more safety and equity for people who are living unhoused and unsheltered right now. Yeah, I came to Maui like 22 plus years ago, and the work was very evident and it was necessary, and we haven't made a lot of significant progress in terms of providing physical spaces where people can live and where they're safe. So what we're going to do today is try and talk about some of the barriers and some of the challenges, and also at the same time really talk about what some of the solutions are. And as we begin, I just want to acknowledge that one of the reasons that we exist also is because this group is very curious. We ask a lot of questions. And we have found by asking questions, we learn and we understand situations. We want to welcome everybody who wants to ask questions and who wants to be curious the way that we all are and how to approach something. It's one of our teachers. Curiosity is a very, very important teacher. And it's been one of the reasons that we've been successful. This team of individuals has allowed me to ask questions and to be curious about their lives, why they need things, how they're doing things, and as a result, in that reciprocal in that trusting relationship, they've been able to ask me why I say things or why I do things or why I believe in something. And we've been able to have that open exchange. That curiosity, along with that trust, is why I think we have been as successful. And this afternoon, we have the other individual in Maui County. I don't usually call you Auntie Jessica because you're like Powerhouse. Jessica is the other plaintiff in the Hawaii Supreme Court case in Maui County that was successful in arguing for people's rights and their property rights. And one of the reasons that our team has been successful in presenting that information is because we've been curious as to why things are being done the way they are, and more importantly, why they're not being done other ways. We like to explore why aren't they being done in these other ways, and we're going to be able to hear from Jessica today along with the other two panelists. I had prepared notes, and I'm not necessarily going to really follow the notes. I do this all the time. I write up these great notes, and then I say, yeah, for another time. I'm not going to drown people in statistics, because if you followed me for the last 25 years, you know the statistics. If you haven't followed me for the last 25 years, we'll send you the statistics. It's really important to know of all the statistics is the bottom line is there is currently no safe sleeping places for people in Maui County. There are hundreds and hundreds, if not more than thousands of people that are living unhoused and unsheltered, and there is no place legally safe for them to sleep. Through COVID and the fires, we have not gained any new shelter spaces. We don't have any more sheltering places where people can go and get basic humanitarian aid. And people are left to fight for their survival on the streets. That's a really important thing to know. You don't need to know that if it's 822 or if it's 1,010 or 1,500 people. The point is, when you've got people that have to exist in these conditions, we definitely need to supplement whatever we're doing and make changes because it's inhumane. So I don't want to roll through a whole bunch of statistics today. And so we can kind of keep our schedule. I'm going to go ahead and ask each of our panelists to introduce yourself very briefly. Tell us something about yourself and tell us I don't know, your favorite ice cream, whatever you want to tell us something that's nice about yours that you like, or you like. I don't know, like watching on TV or like what's a strong characteristic? What is your strong characteristic? And yeah, and just briefly, because we're going to come back, I'm going to ask you to really introduce yourself in a moment. But just to give us your name and like maybe where you grew up or how you grew up, and I don't know where you like something that's fun about you. We'll start. Oh, ladies.
Ladies first.
Lady, you go ahead, Jess.
Hi, my name is Jessica Lau. I grew up here in Happy Valley. My name is Jessica Lau. The first 7 years of my life, I grew up in Nasco. And then we moved over to the project, Kaikiri Housing, where I grew up in Happy Valley. What did I do?
So what's something fun to know about you?
Fun to know? Probably that I'm straightforward. And people think I'm a witch, but it is what it is. I just don't play around the bush. But I can be very funny. I like adventure.
You love adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You are the best.
Walking all the way to the top of Twin Falls.
I'm gonna help Jess. She's an awesome tour guide. One of her jobs, many jobs, is being a tour guide on Maui. So if you want any fun facts about Maui, Jessica's your go-to.
That's what I do for a living. I work at the plantation tour. I do the upkeeps on the vehicles there. I just took on the rescue driver and part-time Hana driver, tour guide. I'm in the process of taking to become a state certified ambassador for Hawaii through the Hawaii tourism. And so, been working since COVID when they opened the doors. I should have stayed on me collect unemployment like everybody else, but I did it. But it is what it is. So from July 5th, 2020 until now, after the fire, I took half of what I was making to still be above water. Today,
All right, we're gonna let you get in further. I just want a real quick introduction and then maybe, yeah, then pass it to either one. Okay. We're gonna come back.
Hello, my name is Donald Waipa. I grew up in Waipa. I moved to Maui 2001, and ever since then I've been homeless.
Not so fast.
Not so fast.
Not so fast.
Ask Donald. What? Tell us something fun about you.
Fun about me.
I know this is a hard question because we're always used to being so serious and like trying to like solve problems that we're like, oh, it's something. There's a lot of fun things about all of you, and I just want to make sure that people recognize.
I'm a happy-go-lucky guy.
You're a lot of fun. You've got a wicked sense of humor.
So
Hobbies? What's a hobby?
I like to watch football.
Who's your favorite team?
Packers, baby.
All right. That's all I can do. Right on. All right. And
We'll give you 2 mics, Chip. Go ahead, Chip.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chip. I don't know if you can you hear me?
You can just move the microphone up a little closer.
Like this? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chip, and one of the things is I'm also known as Clarke Johnson is my legal name, but AKA Chip Johnson. Just like I'm a community advocate for positive change. I try to advocate for better living conditions for people on Maui, including transportation and other things too. And my favorite cookie is chocolate chip cookies, of course. Easier to eat for myself, enjoy. I enjoy them better than macadamia nut. And so that's an interesting little tidbit about me.
thank you. You hit it on the head. Now I want cookies. All right. So I guess you usually are good at holding me to my own standards. So one fun thing about me, I love karaoke. So
take it away.
take it away. I love singing Copacabana. I won't torture you with my Copacabana. Her name was Lola. And Daydream Believer by the Monkees, but we'll stay on course today. We have a very, it's a very broad agenda, and we recognize that we have been doing this work intensely for many years. So anybody who is just joining us or is even new to any of this conversation, recognize you're joining a moving train. This train is moving. It's not stopped at the station all the time. We're moving. We've got lots of irons in the fire. We got a lot of commitments. We're working with hundreds of people. So if you don't understand anything that's happening today, recognize there's a whole bunch of people working on it, and we are available to help you understand more about it. We don't have time to address lots of the topics, so we're gonna just kind of cruise through some of the top things that were on our mind, and that we will do we're gonna do quarterly panel presentations, and we want more community involvement, which means we will get invitations out to people and that you can invite whoever you want. We definitely thrive on that sort of interaction. So that's really important to know. It's also important to know that we're not we don't have a lot of experience doing presentations or public speaking, so to bear with us in case you don't understand something. If you do, we're going to actually take questions at the end of each agenda item instead of it just at the end. So if you have a question, just raise your hand or write it down. We had some pieces of paper. To start off with, we're going to need 3 volunteers from the audience. Can we get 3 volunteers from the audience, please? Okay, 1.
2, 3.
Okay, we have another volunteer. Oh, another volunteer. Okay, here you go. Here you go. Another volunteer? Actually, I need 4. 4 volunteers. Oop. Thank you. Thank you, volunteer. Thank you, volunteer. Okay. Okay. I just handed out some cardboard pieces. What I'm going to do is, today's title is Piecing, and it's not an accident that I'm giggling because somebody just did something funny in the audience. piecing is P-E-A-C-E. We are piecing the puzzle together. We are actually putting it together through peace. And we believe that when you actually talk about difficult things, you actually work through them, and when you put the action behind it, you work through it. So piecing, by actually putting them together, we're actually creating peace. So we use that word very intentionally in terms of putting it together and also creating the action steps behind it. So for everybody who just got your cardboard, would you be so kind? I want you to come up and work together and go ahead and put the puzzle together. So see if you can figure out where puzzle pieces go. It's pieces of the puzzle. You can just do it right behind the group, yep, on the board there. There you go. So that looks like that one goes there. Who's got the next piece that goes? Oh, you actually have the ones that match. Okay, match. Excellent. All right. Oh, good. Oh, wow, they're just fitting together nicely. And, okay, I think, we know, who's got the next piece? Okay, look at that. He got 2 pieces that match. All right, oh, there you go. Here's another. Thank you. Cool, yeah, right? Yeah. Thank you, that's good. We got a good puzzle. Nice.
There we go.
And the puzzle is together. So nice when you get to put it together. Thank you so much. We're going to come back to these themes throughout this panel discussion. And what we wanted to say is thank you. It takes many hands to put the pieces of everybody's life together. Nobody can put all of their own pieces together. And so all the hands that put together today, put the puzzle together, we want to mahalo you. We need everybody's help putting the puzzle pieces together. And those words were all come up by the advisory committee members. So let's go ahead and kind of jump into some of what's happening with that puzzle piece, what's happening with our presentation today. One of the questions that we want to address is what resources would you improve? You know, before we even start that, I'm going to give you, I want to actually hear from each of you, how did you end up at the table today? Why are you here? Like, you could be 100 places, and I know where you like to go.
Fishing.
Yeah, but she's not. You're here. You're here. Why are you at this table today?
Is to educate those that really don't know what those that are unsheltered are going through. And as far as the resources,
Well, hold on, before we go to that. And why, how do you know about this topic?
it's because I'm experiencing it, and I'm getting this resource just from the DLNR, the authorities, and it's not even up to date, it's not even valid.
So I'm gonna even back up more is, are you working with agencies? You're trying to work with agencies and get support, yeah?
Well, the agency, yeah,
Yeah.
but
And you're still living unhoused, there's no place for you to sleep safely. There's
And I'm
no,
a
that you
victim.
could afford right now.
right, and I'm also a victim of domestic violence
Yeah.
with a 3-year protective order.
And if there was a safe place for you to go sleep that you could afford, you would definitely
I would
work
go.
with that. Okay, so it's really important to know your history and why you're actually, how did you become a Share Your Mana Advisory Committee member?
Because I met you.
Yeah, but not everybody wants to work.
I tell everybody your number. You go to jail, call Lisa. You go to court, call Lisa.
Yeah.
I met Lisa. She came and she had the most delicious turkey and avocado sandwich, and I hated avocado sandwich growing up. And every time we seen her, I was like, oh, that lady's the turkey. That lady. And then we got to know each other, and I thought she was like a goofball, but you know, sometimes we butt heads. But Lisa loves, and she looks at everybody as for who they are, as a human, and not for what they have done in their past. I mean, and had it not been for Lisa, Faith, my father, and ACLU, I just don't want to be run over. I mean, like, all I'm trying to do is live out there. And I'm still working, still trying to maintain my job. And I'm not willing to quit. But they don't have a resource list, one that is up to date. The county buildings don't have none. DLNR gave me some. And then I told them that the resource list was not up to date because the first people I called, they didn't have nothing, they were closing. And so they were told, and then they came back with a second paper that had Family Life Center, mental health. I don't have a mental problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause you, because we're gonna get into all the things you're talking about. What I'm trying to get at is, you have a lot of experience with the challenges.
Yeah.
And one of the philosophies of Share Your Mana is that makes you very valuable. That actually gives you a level of expertise, which you have, as much as Share Your Mana has been there for you, you have actually been there for Share Your Mana, because you are working with the entire community and you are fighting to make changes for processes, for resources, to educate people. You are actually really trying to make positive change for the way that people who are living unhoused are handled, in a sense. Yeah, so you have a lot of expertise.
And I was that crazy person that was passing out the request contested form.
So you have a lot of courage,
A
yes.
lot of faith.
Right, okay, so we're gonna swing on back. So let's suddenly hear from Chip and from Donald. Why are you at the table today? How did you end up here today?
Hello, my name is Donald. Okay, hang on. I'm sorry. Well, my name is Donald. Why I'm here on this panel? Because I choose to trust Lisa. You know, Lisa is the one that really reached out to us. And, you know, for me, for being on this panel, I want my voice to be heard. And that's why we're here, you know, to be heard. You know, Share Your Mana is, I get to share my money with my brothers and sisters. That, you know, all the struggles and trials that we go through, you know, my voice can make a difference. And, you know, by sharing my mana with Lisa and starting this panel, I'm pretty sure we can reach out to more people that will feel comfortable with us to talk to us. And, you know, we're not, Lisa is not funded, but we do share our mana. And it's what it's all about. Is we get to hear each other, but the rest of the people don't hear us. So I'm here because of Lisa. You know, I could have been home watching TV or listening to the TV, because you guys all know I'm legally blind. I go to my dialysis, so, you know, what a way to start a day is, you know, being a part of something. Because all my rest of my life, I wasn't imparted to anybody, because I didn't care for myself. So this is a different change for me. And, you know, I like to reach out just as much as how everybody out there wants to reach out to us, but I figure if I reach out, it's more better for me, because I understand whatever trials and tribulations everybody go through, being homeless, houseless, whatever you guys may call it. But we are humans. We're not trash that, you know. Yeah, you know.
You said some really important things there, Donald. Thank you. And you know, the other thing is, you know, the work that so many people have mentored me for all these years, 40 years, is a lot of people say Lisa, 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 but it's share your mana, because share your mana is a philosophy and it's a belief system and how to work together. And unfortunately, right now, since we haven't really had enough, we don't have the ability to hire more people, I kind of am the point person. And I do believe that even though you all refer to me as Lisa, but you're actually here because of the opportunity to share your story and for share your mana, but not necessarily, you're not here because you want to make me happy, or that you're actually here because you're contributing to the rest of the community. And I appreciate that and I hear that. So I just want to, again, mahalo you. And Chip, tell us, how did you find yourself at the table today? How long have we known each other?
We've known each other for 13 years, and it's been quite an interesting experience. Can everybody hear me okay?
I think you might even have to hold it up.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Well, thank you. I've known Lisa for 13 years, and the way it initially started out was different than it is now. We're close associates and common goal. And how I was homeless more than once, and I'm here today to try to erase the stigma associated with homelessness, because it could be your aunties, your uncles, your father, your mother, your daughter, your sister, or whoever it might be. And I think that everybody has a mental illness, they're deranged, they're a criminal, they're a drug addict. That is not true. It could be anyone that it happens because of life circumstances go a certain way. And we're here to prove that could be any one of us that could have that happen.
And the other thing is, if you do have any of those needs, that is not discounted. Earlier in this morning's panel discussion, we talked about how you're a whole person, and that putting that puzzle together is about being a whole person. And many of the agencies are only funded to maybe help your left arm, but they're not funded to help your right arm. And if you have an infection throughout your whole body, even though if it started on your hand, you've got to be able to, your whole body has to be able to be treated. And that's one of the observations we are trying to improve upon by creating Share Your Mana is, like you said, is to approach this as you're a whole person. And we need more ability to approach the resources as a whole person and not have this fractured way of dealing with, if you need mental health, you got to go there. If you need this, you got to go there. If you need your food stamps, you got to go there. It's impossible to navigate everything that you need as this is its own item versus how do they overlap, and how do we as a community and as agencies respond to your needs in a timely way that isn't fractured. So we're going to come back to that a little bit too. Thank you for those points.
You're welcome.
All right, so that's what you're doing here, and what do you have? Do you have a goal for today?
Yes, I do.
Please do tell.
To further empower ourselves as both a community and make lives better for one another.
Thank you, Chip. All right, you have a goal, Jess?
My goal is to fight for everybody through my experience.
To fight for everyone? Okay, all right. Donald, what would you like to, when you walk out that door today, what do you want to have happened? What change do you want to have happened?
Results.
Results?
Yeah.
Okay. We better get busy. Okay. Let's go ahead. We've changed our format a little bit, so if you have a question, you can either raise your hand, or we had some little papers. I don't know if you got a little paper. Faith has some if you want to write them down. I'm not going to have them wait till the end. We'll take them as they go. So we have a hand up. I'm going to go ahead and share the microphone.
Donald, what's the primary results you'd like right now?
Right now, my results, what I want is right there, a safe zone. Because right now there's no safe zone. No safe zone for people that's, homeless, houseless. There's no safe zone.
Thank you.
we did talk, I want to touch base on that as we start this dialogue and integrate what the panel has to share is some of the information. It's really important to know that there is no place to go if you are in poverty. The wait lists are very long, and many case managers are well over their capacity to help. I'm going to let you speak to this, but the amount of sweeps that I have, I've been attending sweeps since 2012 is the first one I documented, 2012. And I don't know that I've ever, until recently, there were almost absolutely no one, and often there's still no agencies on the day of a sweep, and then when there are people still there and they have nowhere to go. So one of the things that really strikes me about this panel and their endurance and their courage is that to have to go through something like that, if you have not lived through something like that, and imagine somebody or the county coming up to wherever you live and with a wrecking ball and said, hey, we told you last week you had to go, but there's nowhere for you to go. Yeah, and the wrecking ball just knocks your house down and takes everything and just ruins everything. Now that's it's an act of violence unto itself. What we're here to say is, where do people go? Like, where do you go? Homelessness is a term that was brought over from the mainland, and everybody that I've met since I've been here and working in this community does not feel homeless. I'm born and raised here. This is my home. What they're missing is a house, or what they're missing is a protective structure. And what we are really working on is language that reflects the real accuracy of what's going on. And the puzzle that was put together just a moment ago is part of an emotional puzzle that doesn't get any attention. And so I hear you, Donald, when the results that you want. People want to be safe. They don't want to be targeted by our, the agencies and the programs and the county and be threatened with all their stuff being taken, and then being left just with nothing. It is one of the most gut-wrenching experiences you can go through, and I've been through many. Like I said, I've often almost is thrown up afterwards because I don't know what to do with the amount of energy in my body that is, and it isn't even happening to me. And so for anyone who has gone through this more than once or been given citations and all kinds of harassment and threats, it's a very disturbing cycle. And this group is here to say, there's a better way. We have a better way. And it is the responsibility of the county and of our elected officials and the agencies to provide safe places, because we all know that there's like thousands of people that are living unhoused or in vehicles or on side dwellings, and they don't have anywhere to go, because if you don't own private property, which that's it's not an easy thing to own private property, or you can't afford the rent because the rent's what are you supposed to do? Your existence is illegal. That's kind of a really weird place to be as a human being, that your existence is illegal when you're hardworking, when you've pitched into your community, you've raised children, and your whole existence is illegal. So we try to work around that very strange. Like I said, it's an act of violence when there's no place for you to relocate and take your things and your pets and things. So we want to have those. These are hard conversations to have because it's already an established method that's used, and so it's almost normalized. I call it normalized violence. You see things that you just kind of turn away from, but it's become acceptable, and we just want to say, no, it's still not acceptable, and we want to find better ways. So thank you to the panel, because I know that when you talk about it again, it can make your body kind of shake a little bit. So we're gonna talk about it as much and with as much detail as we can and make recommendations as much as we can, and it is really important to talk about safe sleeping. So let's go ahead and move into what resources would you improve, or how would you, what resources do you want, how would you like them to connect with you if you're in these conditions?
first of all, to have the resources that are valid. Because the resource list that they gave me from DLNR, I don't have a mental problem, or I don't need medical. I have MedQuest. It's a shelter. And the first one I called, they're closing. They're not taking
So
anybody.
you actually have an actual list that was given to you.
Yes.
You've taken notes on it. You're calling the places, and what are you finding?
That the ones that has shelter, well, you keep leaving message, you mean? And then they're closing, they don't know when, and they're not taking anyone. And as far as Family Life Centers, it's the second time that I made contact with them, right here. Just my witness, I'm like, put it on speaker, you're my witness. And they just pretty much said that they didn't have any vacancies. And only vacancies they have is for those that lost their home, for the Ohana Hope Village, that is right across from King's Cathedral, that they pay $1 a year. And so, when I let DLNR know that the resource list was not valid, I also asked the county building, Clarke Johnson and his staff, and they had no resource list. So DLNR, when I let them know it was not valid, up to date, they came back with this. So the 3 resources they have is, once again, Family Life Center, Mental Health, Kokua, and then Legal Aid Society of Hawaii. We just found out there's no vacancies, so where did one go? While I'm at work, I get the call that they're tagging my vehicle. So not only am I out there, I can't afford the rent right now.
What does it mean when they tag your vehicle?
Well, they put these things.
Yeah, and what does that say?
And so it says that I'm breaking one or violating one or more of the following laws under the Harbor Penal Code 232, sanitation. I'm a member at the Keawe, so I have access to the bathroom. That's where I use the restroom. And then I shower right there with the hose before I go to work. I still have my job, you mean? And then they were talking about littering, and I was like, your people don't even clean up by the ice machine. I'm the one that cleans that up every day. It's because I'm safe there. Even though I'm a victim of domestic violence, people know me, and they know my kid's father, where they're not gonna just drive by and let this guy break my stuff again, bust my windows, or try to hit on me. I know that. So I'm safe there. And so now they're trying to get me to remove myself. And so I tagged that with my court papers. I have a protective order for 3 years that I tagged right beside the other papers on my.
So Jess, to bring this back, what's happening to you is almost hard to even imagine, and it's happening.
At the same time.
And
stay above water.
So one of the things that we have been advocating for and trying to educate around is that we need to stop citations and we need to stop sweeps. We just need to stop that until there are places for you to go, like anybody to go. More people are going to end up, and even
there's not many places for a single female.
Well, we know that we know that we're like 1,000 beds short just for sheltering. So we need the county in the state to recognize that without places for you to go, that the giving tickets and towing away your stuff or throwing your belongings away, it doesn't accomplish, it doesn't help you recover. It's not based in evidence that we know moves people's lives forward. And in fact, we know that it's very harmful.
It just makes it hard because you
It
just
makes
have to
it hard.
replace everything.
Yeah, and it's very expensive.
It's expensive to live outside.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a refrigerator, so you have to continuously put ice in your cooler. And if you mess up, and I love fishing, so I've messed up many a time.
So how do we change? Like, if you could have a magic wand, what do we do? What are the things that would just like one of the things that Sherry Mana has been advocating for many years is that every moku, every district has safe zones, and everybody in those districts, in those areas, has a team, and like we work
I'm
together.
gonna ask King Cathedral to see if he has places, because obviously he rents that one too, Family Life Center.
Yeah, because
We need land.
you need
You mean, so we don't have to be, you can't just move someone into a safe place, sleeping area, and then in the morning they gotta pack their stuff and move them out. You mean, it's very hard.
Yeah, so
You
that's
mean,
one of
I
the
gotta be at
changes.
work at times, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm scrambling around,
but at the same time, watching my perimeters and those, my surroundings to make sure that he's nowhere around. You mean, and at the same time, trying to stay focused and try to hold my composure.
Yeah.
And, you mean, I just know that me acting out of character will not solve anything. And that I just want people to hear that it's not easy. Everybody is seconds away from where we're at. But today, it hurts even more because I feel discriminated, because they're helping those of the West Side Fire. My heart goes out to everybody out there. I was also out there at the time of the fire. But because my zip code is not 96761, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. But I don't need shelter. I can live outside. You mean, my parents taught me how to live off the land and the sea, and I've been doing that very well. I just can't afford the rent that people pay.
Okay, so
right now,
I'm gonna pull you in, and we have some solutions. And I don't want to say them, I want them to come from your fabric today. So, Donald, what about, let's take a breath, Jess, and Donald, what are some of the solutions? What are the things, if we had a wand, if we could wave it today, what would you change?
Well, so what I would change is all these organized people that, you know, come and try to help us, they're not doing nothing.
we need adequate place to shower, adequate like bathroom.
So we do know
And
that
I
there
do
are
hope so.
some people that in the organizations that are doing that. We want to make sure that we do acknowledge that there are people working. What we're saying is, when it comes to your needs, I think people who are living unsheltered really do get a lot less resources. And they get a lot less attention, and your paperwork falls through a lot more often than people that don't have the whole spectrum of needs that you have. So how would you, what would you change? Like, what would you say?
Communication.
Communication, that's exactly what we're looking at. And what does communication look like?
Right now,
Well, how would you improve it?
is that everybody be on the same page, your information, your resources. See, I always ask for resources because I talk to a lot of them out there. So whatever resource I get, I try to call on myself first, because your government phone is not worth anything. You mean, some of them you get 5 gigabytes, and by the time you call that office, it's done. You mean? And so it's the communication.
Well, okay,
and
so
the
for people who
update.
don't know what that means, the government phones only have a limited amount of data or talk time that you're allowed. So if you're on hold with Social Security for 3.5 hours, which happens, that eats up a chunk of your the time that you could
You
use,
have
right?
no phone.
And then you have no phone. You may have a physical phone, but then it's not useful. So I mean, I don't think even people understand.
And there's no payphone.
There's no pay phones. So one of the things that we would like to improve, and Chip, you have some experience on advocating for some of this, is better technology, more access to technology, yeah?
Yeah, access to better technology. Better technology. Also, one of the things is there needs to be a system navigator. Some communities like LA County has a system navigator that doesn't let people fall through the cracks. From the time they go out, do their outreach, and I think we could do it better here. But it's like they're not doing anything, it seems like. I mean, they get these fragmented agencies that worry about their little budgets and stuff like that, but there's no one that tie it together. And it's only 8 to 4 that they work. After 4 p.m. or on a weekend or whatever, where you're trying to call access and the line is busy or they don't call you back, you fall through the cracks. Is that fair? I don't think so. No.
I'm getting
passionate about this.
So that's a good point. One of the things that Sherry Armanda advocates for is that people who are living unhoused and unsheltered, their problems don't stop at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Their problems don't stop on the weekends or for holidays. They have consistent needs, and we need 24-hour outreach workers. We need 24-hour services. And that's one of the things that we identified earlier is one of the reasons why Share Your Mana is so effective is if we can call each other any time of the day or night. Like, we all have each other's phone numbers, we all share that. When we call, we know somebody needs something. No one's calling to talk about what happened on Netflix. We're calling because there's, you know, that it's a crisis and you're needing help. And we always answer the phone, and we can call each other, we have each other. We've created that synthesis, that ohana. and we respond, and if we have to leave a message, then we always respond. That is one of the things I think that we really struggle with agencies is you can call, you can email, you can stop in, and then there's broken communication. And it doesn't necessarily get to it. And if you're working with 2 or 3 agencies that they're not connecting, and we want to be the connectors, we want these agencies to connect. You don't want to have to tell your story every single place you have. You don't have to tell it at food stamps. You don't have to tell it there. You have to tell. It's exhausting, and the amount of time that it takes is exhausting. And then if you have staff turnover, then you got to start all over again. And I think that was one of the real clear messages that we have an expert in the room. Brian Hauser, thank you for being here, who works with people with disabilities and really advocates. Is one of the things is with the Red Cross and FEMA is the constant turnover. And you can have every 2 weeks they were turning over a new staff. You had to tell your story every 2 weeks. You had to say what you needed every 2 weeks. And if that and those staff never talked to each other. So it was like a brand new and
Broken record.
it's a broken record, but physically what that does to your body to have to tell your story, your body creates these pathways, and it's a harmful pathway instead of a pathway that is leading to success or relief. Instead of it coming to a result, like you said, it's just this wearing down and this creating this deeper rut in your life. So that's one of the things we are really clear about wanting to advocate for is that we can go together, that Chip and I could go into a meeting together, that Jessica and Chip and Donald and Jessica, we interchange with each other to support each other. And because when you're talking about something that's very stressful, sometimes your mind is like, it's really tired, and you need somebody to take the notes for you. I've been in meetings where I've been stressed out and I didn't take the notes right. And so that's why we love videotaping things, because then we can review it, and then we can review what we said or what we heard and make sure that it was, we're acting upon accurate information. So we really do want to use technology, and we want to make sure that everybody has phones that are working, because if you don't have a phone or a smartphone, you can't really function. Yeah, so that's one of the things, that's a resource, right, that we would want to see that, or have kiosks in the malls. All the malls are in locations where you could check your food stamp stuff, you could check your whatever, and you could check your status. So if you had one of those lists that says check those resources, what if you could actually go online at a kiosk and see what number you were on that? And that if you could print that out and show that to the DNLR or to the cops that you are working with an agency and you are trying to do, that they said, oh my gosh, that's wonderful, we're glad to, and they just went by and they made sure you were okay. What if we lived in a world where they stopped by to say, hey, how are you doing today? What do you need? Versus, you gotta get out of here, scram. And there's nowhere for you to go. What if we lived in that world? That's the kind of stuff that we're really looking to change the dynamic on. That's the world we want to live in, and that's the world we want to really create. So let's continue on. There's always so much to talk about. So we were talking about resources. Oh, yeah, someone have a question?
I did have a question earlier. I know you guys talked about, this is all really good topics to bring up and stuff. I definitely understand the experience because I faced homelessness, in the past and stuff. I understand you guys are looking for a safe sleeping. What are you looking at? Like, what are you wanting for that sleep zone? Like, what type of, is it just a place for sleep, or are you guys looking towards more? And, everyone's, and I'm not trying to be in a negative way or to that, but for people who are homeless, not everyone wants to have goodness, yeah? And just because I understand what you guys sharing up there, but there are also people that are homeless that make it worse for other homeless people to live in conditions where the place they live, they let the place just come horrible. You know, like I went down to Kanaha this other weekend. I'm passing down there and I'm all like, I'm afraid to take my kids down that road because the fact vehicles on the side of the road bust up, you get people fighting while we're driving down the street. And I understand like homelessness is a huge situation, but at the same time, not all homeless people is resilient and they want to live a better life. So I'm all out for helping with solutions, like in your guys' situations, and wanting to find a safe sleeping zone, wanting to be safe, because I work with clients too that, before getting them housed, pregnant, they're sleeping in their vehicle, not knowing where to sleep because they don't know who they're going to encounter, violence or whatever out there and stuff like that. But when you guys are asking for a safe sleeping zone, are you guys wanting to open it to the whole unsheltered community, or is it just where like there's gonna have rules, regulations, things like that?
Yeah.
So that's all.
I'm gonna just really quickly respond to that. And I'm gonna tell you that all the years that I have worked with individuals in these conditions that I have witnessed and continue to witness that once a certain group of people gets the help and gets the resources they need, then they are the first ones to reach the hand back to help pull people out. And we don't actually have that going. We don't have that train running on Maui where people are really getting out and then their peers are in there and pulling them and helping them move forward. And there are a lot of people that have lost all hope. And as a result, their behavior reflects that they've lost all hope. And until they actually have any belief that their life will change or that there is a resource that's gonna help them, they're gonna be stuck in that rut. So one of the things that we're trying to do is first of all, we're very clear, and the other colleague, we worked with the disability community when Tent City went up, is we said nobody asked for our input, and we were very clear. We actually wrote a report that it's designed to fail. And the reason one of the reasons it's designed to fail is because this group wasn't in there working with people, but more importantly, it was designed with huge tents where all these people are sleeping right next to each other who don't know each other, who have lots of different issues and needs. And that right there, like, can you imagine if all of us had to go sleep and, we had to all of us just today, we had to stay in here and sleep together tonight. Now imagine if that's what we had to do for the next 6 months. Some people snore, some people got bad dreams, some people, go to the bathroom 10 times, somebody wants the light on because they want to read. Imagine what that's like if you're in a state of extreme just exhaustion and fear, and you're in a room with all these people you don't know, and the only space you have is under your cot. Like, that design was very bizarre. None of us in the field who have been doing really good work were like, none of us understood this, and we didn't even have a space where we could have a conversation about it. And it just appeared like somebody just dropped it down from outer space and it just plopped down. And we were like, what is that? And first of all, it's Maui, right? And I'm not even from Maui, and I know you don't do that on Maui, right? Like, Maui people are Maui people, and this is the dream team. You talk to this, you want something done, this crew will get it done. So the partnerships and the relationships that we've built are really foundational in, it doesn't matter I'd love to see those tents broken up, and different mokus have, that district has, they all have such different personalities, yeah? And you have leaders in those communities, and those leaders need to be tapped into. And that's a really important feature of this, is not just the physical structure of having the water, the bathroom, the laundry, cooking, those are just go without saying. And whether it's a tent or whether it's a bamboo this or whether it's cinder block, that's not necessarily really the issue. I think the issue is the individuals and letting the community kind of come into some self-governance as well. And that's a really important part of this, because if we all had to live together, one of us would naturally become the kind of the person who's gonna cook. Somebody would say, oh, I'm gonna do this. Like, we'd figure it out, we'd self-govern, yeah? But if you're under extreme stress, or you have mental health needs or addiction that's not getting managed, you're not going to have that skill set to interact in a way that's going to be productive. And that's one of the problems too, is we just don't have enough skilled workers, and the skilled workers are exhausted. They're, the agencies, every agency is exhausted, and I don't think they're getting enough training. I don't think people are getting enough training in motivational interviewing versus close-end statements. We could get into some of those very basic things. And yet, I think there are quite a few staff that don't even have some of the basic training, and therefore they're re-injuring people without even knowing it. And that's why people get frustrated and they get angry, because Chip can talk to you all day, the medical model versus person-centered recovery. And those are just basic things in the social work field, and that he can talk to you about that, and he can tell you. I look to this team to educate me on how to really get things done in a language and in a way that they understand, and not from a top-down level. And I think agencies here do a lot of top-down. The boss says, this is the way we're gonna do it, you've gotta fulfill this contract. And it doesn't allow for that natural growth of relationship, which is where magic really happens. And that's where, then people start pulling each other up and not ignoring it, or, kind of kicking people to the curb kind of thing. So it's a really important question. And yeah, we see a lot of people that have given up for some pretty obvious reasons too.
I would actually love to hear from you guys a response to what she was asking, those, because you're right there in Kanaha and Puleho, whoever, and dealing with it, with the different parts of the community, and some violent and some this, and some not wanting, some so stoned that they don't even be able to talk right or something. What is your hope, answer for that at this moment? At this moment, what can we do?
First of all, it's understanding that each and every one of us come from a different walk, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's an addiction, or it's mental health. And I have a son that is in mental health kukua, and I watched them drag him up with 9 different medications to take him off from 7 and only gave him 2. So that tells me my only DNA to this world is that boy, and you just letting him walk around dopey so you don't have to pay attention to your client. That broke my heart. But you cannot approach those that are unsheltered the same way. Because some of them, they lost hope of their experience that they dealt with while they were out here. My heart goes out to Auntie Sonia. She's the other plaintiff on the lawsuit, so am I. I've only been going through this for 4.5 years, and in the 4.5 years, I have a lot of things inside this folder right here that will back my facts. And what I went through, knowing that I was working, knowing that how the agency got down, and the only agency they have is the agency that they keep authorizing, or they pay top dollars to hire some people to make a blueprint for those that are in shelter. Well, I'm at that point where I just gonna go and GoFundMe and just see who has faith enough, to have a place where everybody can go, because it's a we thing, not an I thing, where you can go and you can be safe and you can stay. Those that haven't worked in a long time, you cannot expect them to go to work. So my thing is, I would run it Ahupua'a style. Those that like to cook, you can put those in the cooking area. You can put 40 hours of your time, toward the Aina, back to the community. And I've been saying this for a minute now since I came in this situation. And that's where my goal is now. And if I had a want, that's what I would do. We don't need you to build a house. I grew up just sleeping right out there, right out the front door. You like camp, go camp. And that's pretty much what I'm doing now. But I told myself, you cannot sleep in your car all the time. And so there I went, me and my crazy self, I put a bed. So down at the harbor, in between that Xterra and that red truck, there's a bed in there, but I also have it the way it is so I can see who's coming in. And be able to get out the other way in case he was to come there. But I know he will not come there as long as I'm in the harbor. When I come out from the harbor, he'll chase me on the highway and stuff, and we've raced before. And I'm not my life, My life is to be able to just
stay above water, just be self-supporting. So my dad is 85, so he can be able to go home to heaven knowing that his youngest will be okay. I mean, that's all I asking for. But they make it hard each and every day. I mean, and by the grace of God, had it been 23 years ago, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be behind the penitentiary wall because it was easier that way to just put hands on people if they didn't hear me. But I understand today that that would not solve anything, and you have to be calm so people can understand and hear where you're coming from.
Jessica, I'm going to pause you because I want to definitely make sure that Chips gets an opportunity, and I want you to keep your, because yeah, it's some heavy stuff. One of the observations that you're seeing right now is being in fight or flight mode. And when you live unhoused and unsheltered, your body gets into fight or flight mode. And so there's not a lot of stuff in the middle. It's either you're with me or you're against me. And your brain works that way, and you gotta be ready, because there are people that do steal, but I know housed people that steal. I know people who wear suits that steal, you know, like, and rob and things. It's just kind of, I think what we really want to do is really clarify the perception that this community is not also suffering from the ails of people that are struggling and not, you know, participating in a healthy way in the community. This community also suffers from that. And there are many people that are trying to move out of that. I think once we get that movement forward, that they'll be able to help people. We don't have enough drug treatment. We don't have enough, we have almost no drug treatment outreach workers that are skilled and understand when you're ready, and when you're not, you're not. And we certainly don't have the facilities to be ready when people are ready. So, you know, how do we manage all the chaos until or when, if that ever becomes a reality here, and what are people supposed to do? And I think we're really always working for just safety, and emotional safety and physical safety, and that's something that you got to struggle with. And I think that was one of the reasons when we first met, Chip, is you your whole body and mind was very elevated when you first met, because you were like, what am I supposed to do? Your whole body and mind become panicked. And you're not as calm as you are now. You're not as thoughtful with your words because you were under this incredible pressure. And what do I do? So we're always working. We want to be able to say, what do you want to be able to say about what it's like to see other people that are struggling, and that there is violence in the community. There's violence in houses. There's violence out of houses. And what perception, or how do you manage that? You got a thought on that, Donald?
Instead of calling the law enforcement and having them arrested, put in jail, or saying, we're gonna come get you, have them, you know, when the person comes up to you that's in crisis, you don't want to have, you don't want to come with aggressive sledgehammer or 2x4. You want to come up there loving and just listen to the story. Everybody's have a story that they can tell. I remember when I arrived in Maui 13 years ago, didn't have stable housing, and yeah, I was in a different frame of mind. Understand that I had never been to Maui before. I didn't know anything about the island at that point in time.
I was going to jump in and say, you did have stable housing, but it literally like fell through the days that you were here, right? So
That's right.
you didn't just come here willy-nilly.
The night before we were supposed to come in, housing fell through. So we were on the beach at by the airport, Kanaha. At first I thought, oh wow, we need to be by the airport. That novelty rapidly wore off as the second jet took off, and then the wind started picking up. We, the three of us and 2 dogs. No shelter wanted, no one would want to take anyone with, 3 people and 2 dogs. Just, nobody. This island is still not friendly to people who don't have a place to live. It's just, and then on top of that, I do suffer from depression and some anxiety, and that didn't help either. And so, now it's being managed. But, you throw all that together in a brew, and you gotta, it's a very difficult situation to deal with. And so, what needs to happen is the crisis line needs to respond in a timely manner. At the recording, please leave your message. Someone will attempt to call you back within 24 hours. That is not gonna work when someone's in crisis. Or calling the police and having them come whizzing down with the blue light special. not Kmart, but the blue light special coming down there, law enforcement and ambulance and who knows, the fire department. No, that doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, so what would be the solution?
Solution would be to have, if someone calls the access line or the police come, have them sit down there and talk, talk story. Find out what's going on and have them reach out and have a navigator that goes with them to connect them to resources, not just leave them for dead or because it's after hours, or it's a weekend, or it's a holiday, or whatever it might be.
And then stay following up, right?
Or
Not just having a one conversation, a one and done. Yeah.
Following up, following through, and not let the person fall through the cracks. That's where we need to work. That's what we need to work on, and not be afraid, and know that different people have different backgrounds can become homeless for one thing or another. And then it's, loss of job, loss of housing,
Yeah.
or just being discharged from the military or coming in from another state and not having a place to go.
Yeah, so I think one of the observations we have is that since I've been doing this work for over 20 years in the county, I've never seen anybody be willing to make a parking lot or to create, I believe in community associations, and one of the features that we at Share Your Mana believe in, we go to community associations and we do presentations and we make suggestions, is to have each of each area really talk about it in their area and have the community have hands-on and the opportunity to pitch in. This is way bigger than just some agencies. Agencies are tired, they're overwhelmed, and so I think community members have a lot of experience and they have a lot of resources, and we would love to see, during the pandemic, we proposed multiple times that the community centers, which were closed, actually opened and kind of just self-governed. People were already dropping things off, churches were dropping things off, just open the bathroom up and let people park in the parking lot. Share Your Mana would certainly adopt one of those, and we could train people, and the advisory committee can be a part of that. We can train people. And nobody has ever acted on any of these, which, the infrastructure is already there. This really, all you need is the say, let's try this. That's actually all you need to do. And again, and we do recognize that not, people are not always in a good behavioral place. However, I have watched the community. One thing that people don't know about Kanaha is during COVID, it ran gorgeous. It was beautiful. We got the fire hydrant opened. We had everyone jerry-rigged and made showers out of leftover PVC piping from construction guys, and people donated a shower. We made our own shower. We had trash pickup. The county actually did do trash pickup for a little while. They had a barrier, so there was no traffic. So it was actually it created I don't know if you've ever been to a street or a community in a big city, you've gone down one of the neighborhood streets. It became kind of the neighborhood street. They had 7 different ohanas, and each ohana self-governed. So my job from Share Your Mana was to kind of go in and check. We built leadership from within the ohana, and I made sure I checked in with them every day. We made sure donations and all the things people needed to self-govern, they got the resources that they need. Now, when the pandemic ended, they came in without notice, took away the porta potties, took away the trash removal, closed the fire hydrant with no notice. Okay, so, and this is after hundreds and hundreds of calls to the county and emails, which Share Your Mana has put in hundreds and hundreds of calls and emails, never getting any replies back, not getting anything that was accurate. It was very discouraging. It's very discouraging to be on the end where someone doesn't call you back, when someone doesn't follow up, or when somebody makes a promise they can't keep. So one of the things that's really important to know about the philosophy of Share Your Mana, when I walk up to someone and they're angry, it's usually for a really good reason. And so I'm like, you never get put off by people's anger because it's usually quite justified. And I'm just kind of like, oh gosh, what's happening? And how do we resolve it? How do we resolve it? How do we get you safe today? But we don't have the county support. We want to be working with the county. We want to be in partnership. We want to be in partnership with the agencies. By pointing out what we need is not a criticism, and it's taken often as criticism. This is also something we want to navigate more gently and more effectively. Is everybody here has some really, really bad experiences, and they're justified. And people do need to hear it, we need to understand it, and we need to learn from it. And we want to do that. So we keep asking for, again, this partnership. And we believe it can happen. I've seen it happen. I've been with groups where Kanaha was gorgeous, and then when they took all that stuff away, it went chaotic, and we couldn't keep up with, like you can't just get on the bus with your bag of trash. There's no bus stop at the dump, right? So how are you supposed to take your trash over there? Like, what are you supposed to do? The bus drivers won't let you on with your trash. You can barely get on with a backpack, yeah? So like, you cannot get on with a bag of trash. And it doesn't go there. Like, so how is somebody who's living in a vehicle for habitation, and maybe it's not legal, how do they get their trash to the dump? How are you supposed to do that? Like, everybody in the house just wheels it out, and you wheel it back in your bin. You don't have that. So what are you supposed to do? And all the well-meaning agencies that do deliver things and effective in the churches, when you deliver food, there's going to be waste, right? So I was always asking if anytime you take a donation that you take something with you, yeah, and that so that it isn't the burden of people living there, and that we can get a hold of this concept that people are filthy and dirty, and to be able to give relief to a community that does, we don't have to think about it. You just put it in the bin and it just disappears. Although if you drive by the dump like I do, it's not disappearing, right? It's mini Haleakala. That's another story. But we got to figure out ways that this community gets supported and not more burdens on them. So let's keep going, because we want to really touch base on some solutions. And it's already 2:30. Citations and sweeps. This is we did touch on this a little bit, and I'm so grateful this community is here. What do you think should happen with citations and sweeps? And for individuals that don't know, and for if you're just tuning in with us, Share Your Mana has probably been to about 25 sweeps. And sweeps are when the county comes in and removes all the belongings for the people living there. And they do this without providing anything fresh for them to live on and or a place for them to go to be safe. It usually, sometimes we're getting a 2-week notice, and sometimes they would they would give you a paper, or they would mark the place where you were living or kept your belongings as abandoned. Share Your Mana was very clear, and we have a community advocate here who, I don't know, Faith, how many calls do you think you made to MPD over the last couple of years? Hundreds of calls, asking for the sweeps to cease, for them not to take. So Share Your Mana came up with an actual form which people put in their vehicles, and whether they sleep in it, whether it runs or not. It's called a vehicle for habitation. And if you had a vehicle and it was running and it stopped running, or it's not street legal and you don't want to move it because you don't want to get a ticket, and you're just using it even for your storage and you're living in it, you put that in your window, and it tells the county that, or DNLR, that this is valuable. This is not a derelict vehicle. And a derelict vehicle means it's not running, there's no hope for it, and nobody's living in it. So there's all these different terms you have to learn. And I think the only thing that, anyway, I'm going to say, what are your experiences, really, if you can be, what are your experiences with citations and sweeps and getting tickets? You can get, I think it's $70 for sleeping in your vehicle? Or sleeping, they call it camping, when you sleep in your vehicle overnight. I think it's $70, but that usually there's another $70 ticket that you get with that, because you're usually parked somewhere that's technically illegal, because there is no legal place to park. And with the hundreds of people living in their cars, if there's no legal place to park, are we just generating money for the county of Maui for people who don't even have the money to pay? Because if you don't pay or you don't go to court, then what happens? You go to jail. You go to jail. And that's happened. And that doesn't really aid in recovery. In case that's unclear to anybody. Putting somebody in jail because they're too poor to afford the rent does not aid in their recovery. So what we we'll do some advocacy. We do have a question, so I'm going to jump in the question, and then I want to hear from the panel.
Isn't that like debtor's prison? I
Yeah.
thought that was illegal.
Well, so there's a lot of things that are actually happening that are illegal, and Auntie Jess and Auntie Sonia are the two plaintiffs that were able to get all of our documentation to the ACLU Hawaii and were effective in suing the County of Maui. It went to the Hawaii Supreme Court December of 2023. I get my dates wrong. And it was argued that it is illegal and that these kinds of processes are not helping and they're not aiding, and they're actually unconstitutional. It is clear the county knows this and they are continuing this practice. And in fact, not only are they continuing the practice, but they are continuing, now they're not even giving notices. They used to put this piece of paper that said we're coming in next, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. They don't even do that now. Now they're just showing up and they're saying we're cleaning up. And they're not getting permission to take anybody's stuff or touch anybody's stuff, and they're just taking it saying, oh, we're just doing rubbish pickup. And without even people being there. And so that's why you don't see anything around people's cars anymore. Just last week, somebody had a full cooler of food for their whole ohana, fresh ice, fresh everything. They just took it and threw it out. And the person came back and they had seen the trucks come, and it's really, I don't even know how to respond to this anymore. I'm losing my ability to even talk rationally about it. Again, when there is no place to relocate. Our focus is on relocation so people can recover. People need safe places. We want people can recover. We believe they can recover. What's it like to go through a sweep or get citations?
What's like? We all know, if you get homeless like us, living in your car, living in the bushes, wherever whatever personal belonging you owe, and they come in, they sweep, and they take everything and just trash it. It makes it worse for us because now we gotta struggle just as hard as we did before to even get clothes on our back, and I understand, there's, what we asking is a safe zone. A safe zone is, there's a lot of people out there that wants to live like that. And there's a lot of us that wants to change that, but we need someplace safe. No matter where you live on any Hawaiian island, you're gonna get your people that doing drugs, you can get people that using alcohol, and you need there's people that really want someplace to stay. A safe zone is where I can speak for myself, where I can feel comfortable sleeping, knowing that I can get up the next day and don't worry about MPD knocking at my door or giving me a citation, because most of the people don't work. We're collecting off the government. How can we pay a fine? If we don't pay, like what Lisa said, if we don't pay, what else gonna happen? We end up going to court. You don't show up in court, they get a warrant out for you. Just because we didn't pay a $70 ticket, so we didn't show up in court, now we gotta go to jail? You know how much money the state is spending on just to give everybody man-hours for go around and giving everybody a ticket? You paying in the county for have the officers come in and deliver this ticket, and then you making off of us. Now we gotta pay a fine. So there is difference in people that need shelter, and there's people out there that just don't care.
And I'm just gonna say,
Like I said, I do believe that most people do care, and they're buried under this weight of trying to dig out of all of this. The other piece I want to tell people is when we do go to court, the court has been amazing to recognize that there are no options for people, and I've almost always experienced the court dismissing every ticket. And that has been a grotesque waste of all of our time. When the court says, yeah, we get it, we know there's nothing for you, we don't even, and they just say, listen, we understand, because if you're Hawaiian, first of all, we're still under, this is an illegal occupation of the state, and that is a really important feature in all this, not one that I can personally speak to with any sort of authority. However, I do know that it is a very significant part of the way that Kanaka relate to the law, the American law. And there's a lot of space there that we need to reconcile, and that we want to reconcile, and we look forward to reconciling. So interestingly enough, the United States court has been really kind of our saving grace in the way that individuals have been treated in terms of if it doesn't make sense in your brain, it's because it doesn't make sense. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. Yeah, we got one more question.
First of all, just to clarify what you said, it isn't illegal. It isn't an illegal occupation. It is an occupation. So just to clarify that. But that's not my question. My question is to the advisory committee. When there is a sweep happening or the threat of a sweep, how important is it to have others like legal right advocates or your family or the Lisa Darcys of the world to come be by your side?
It's very important. You have to, every time I see them coming into the harbor, I usually let someone that's around me, and I usually grab my phone or my tablet for them, and I let them know that I'm gonna videotape, because it's not their word against my word, it's their word against this video. So to not disrespect them, and that's only because of the runaround that they try to give. Not many have a phone where they can call or have, and all these places, you can't go there right then and there. You know what I mean? So it's like you just moving them from where they're okay to another location where you're gonna go right there and do it again. But it's very important. Usually I blow up Lisa's phone all the time. And then Lisa will go into Sonia, or whoever's around me to pretty much document. But they know. If you're fishing and you're by the water, they can't harass you, and they know I know that.
I wanted to mention that because I feel like I just wanted to mention that because I feel like when you ask the next question, what we need to succeed, that the growing body of people who understand pretty much, I think the purpose of you sharing your stories is really important, that when there's a number of people that support you, nobody's gonna arrest, 50 people. And so,
They usually tell me stop beating the system. And I'm not trying to beat no system, I'm just trying to live like everybody else. I just can't afford the rent that FEMA's paying. And this is just a small crowd of people that are unsheltered right now. But they're not even trying to identify with those that were displaced because of those from the wildfire. She was kicked out from her place at the shelter to make room for them. So right now, the county of Maui and the state, they're doing everything they can. And the difference between me and us and them is that they're getting their financial, and we not. That's the only difference. Because we in the same boat. The fire took place 18 months ago. It didn't take place last night. But they all out for help them, and they getting money already. And so that just goes to show where that put those in command and those that make the law here for Maui, where they put. And I don't wish anything bad, but I just pray that God will give them a sign that they will see exactly what each and every one of us guys is facing. And I pray they don't have to go through it, because not many of them, camping outside is not for everybody. I love it. I don't have to clean nothing, because the bird couldn't eat them, the cat couldn't eat them, some kind of animal would eat them. People bring their kids to the harbor for me to babysit. I don't have a problem doing that. They want to learn how to fish, I make them go pick up their own stick, and then I rig their line up on that pole. So they know you don't need a reel to get your food. I probably got in trouble once, but they dismissed the case and that was for a thrownette. I couldn't give them something that brings food to my stomach every day. I couldn't just put them on DLNR's truck, but I did put the bag down. I said, but you can pick them up yourself. I'm not trying to make your job hard, but that's just me. You mean, like, I'm looking at this net and all I can see is fish. It's just gone. You know what I mean? And so that's pretty, I'm just grateful that I do know how to live off the land and the sea. But I do have a cousin that 3 days out there, she was having a fit. I was like, go bathe right there. Just put the hose in. The water's warm at night. People don't know that. I'll be showering right before I go to work, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they think I'm crazy. I don't care. It didn't keep them away from me. You know what I mean? But the water's warm.
Jessica, one of the things that you just reminded me to point out is that you are a direct fire survivor at Donald. Donald was living in Maui County has a shelter and it has 2 campuses. One is in Central and one is in Lahaina, and he was living in the Lahaina campus. And you were just evacuated to a baseball field, right? And
Right.
then
Was left there.
and there was no communication. This is one of the places where we want to make an impact and we want to be able to influence policy and change. That was just such it was a catastrophic event. Nobody was planned for it. However, we do believe that you can have processes in place where, for example, nobody followed up with you ever. Like, you were just gone. You ended up in an encampment up in Paia, and nobody called, nobody looked for you, and you had nowhere to go. So what was he supposed to do? He was housed. He was housed in a location. They have not really followed up to talk about rehousing you or anything. Nothing. So what happens to the people that were there? You did actually end up, after having to circle around, go to Oahu, come back here, live unhoused in many places. You were in danger. You were in drug court, which requires you to be housed or they can jail you. So because of the fire, you were unhoused. So technically, they could just throw him in jail because he's unhoused now. Not to any other, and that is that could have easily happened. They didn't put you in jail.
Yes.
And which we're grateful, Judge Guano, thank you. But we shouldn't have to be grateful, right? People should be saying, what do you need? Not like, we're so grateful you didn't put me in jail, right? Like, let's set our bar a little higher. You did end up coming and connecting with us. You got back into the main campus, and then you, along with Auntie, were asked to leave for fire survivors. So you got rehoused there, but then they asked you to leave so that fire survivors could come back in with nowhere to go. Our contention is not that people have to shift, but you've got to shift to somewhere that is safe and that you have resources. So we're not contending that anybody has to shift anywhere, although yes, you do need to have something that is dependable, and that continuously moving and having different routines is very disorienting, yeah. But it was just that you were both told you had to leave, and you only had like 3 days or 4 days. It was a very short amount of time where you just had to leave. You're both in a court-ordered program that says if you are unhoused, you're just gonna go to jail. So you're living in terror, both of you were living in terror at this time, and there was no place for you to go. So our position is, people can't just, if you're with a funded agency, you can't just be asked to leave and to go into nowhere and then to go into these circumstances. That is where we have a very strong belief that we can do better and that we need to do better. If we just need to open parking lots, let's just do that. Churches, I don't care where, Old Sports Authority, whatever, and do it small and smaller groups so that people can self-govern. And what was your overall experience with being displaced from all these different agencies and having to tell your story and getting in and out of FEMA how many times, like?
Oh, it was hard. Let me tell you, it was really hard. Me and Auntie was in the shelter after the Lahaina fire. She had 3 days to get out. I had only 24 hours. 24 hours, and that put me right back to being homeless again. After what I went through in Lahaina and staying in the shelter up there, and then yet they made all of us guys go down to the baseball park and left us there. Left us there to burn. It was hard. You know, from where we was at the beginning of Lahaina, by the swimming pool, we ended up running from there all the way past Lahaina substation, going through all the obstacles, seeing people burning in their cars, seeing the lady on the ground burning that we couldn't help. You know, the shelter didn't even provide any ride for us to get out. All they was worried about was them getting out themselves and left all us there to die. Straight up die. But we managed to get out. I got out of there. And the only place that I felt comfortable was going back to old Maui High, living in the bushes, being homeless. I felt safe there. You know, and people used to tell me, how can you live there? I said, you know what? I'm comfortable where I'm at now. You know, but I was in jail court. I had to have a housing or else they would put me back in jail. And sure enough, they did. You know, they found me. I went back to jail, and the judge told he wanted me out of jail. So he took me back out, and he told me to go back to the shelter. I had court order from the judge saying, go back to the shelter. I went back to the shelter, I got kicked out. That's when me and Sonia had to leave. Because I was housed at the Wailuku shelter in my own studio. So after the fire, I had to rebuild to survive again. So I had my own studio. I was in sharing bed with 20 other guys. I had my own little space. I started getting back on my feet, buying whatever I need to live comfortable in the shelter. Then I got kicked out. I had to go into the men's dorm. So all my belongings that I had in the shelter, I had to give it away. You know, and it seemed like being, when they do the sweep, whatever we have is what we got, and it's all we have. And why we keep rebelling to the officers, because we're not getting solutions. Where can we go? So we don't be bothered. You know, it's so hard for us. I lived in the tent city too. And when I was living in the tent, it wasn't safe. You know, and they said it's Puno Nene safe haven. It wasn't no safe, it wasn't no structure there. So where we end up again, back on the streets. I felt more safe living in one tent or living in my car. I felt safe because, let me tell you, for me, I've been there. I went through how many deaths was happening in the tent city. I didn't want to be there. You know, I could be sleeping, somebody be going through my stuff, or somebody could be on the next bed overdosing, and nobody cares. A safe zone is where we can feel safe to go and rest our head. That we don't have to worry about who's gonna take my water, who's gonna take my medication. Because people take your medication, even though they don't know what is the medication for. For me, I'm legally blind. I go through my dialysis. I need my high blood pressure pills and all that, my diabetes pills, but they will steal it. They think they're gonna get high off of blood pressure pills. They don't care. A safe zone is for us as a ohana, that we can look after each other and feel safe. Yeah, we all go through druggies, alcoholics, we all go through that. But if we all together, and we're gonna stick together, and we're gonna rise together, that's what it's all about. It's not because you're an haole, a Japanese, you're Hawaiian, one out of haole, or whatever. It's not the color. Because you know what, ohana means family. We're all together, we pull together, we stand together, and we unite as one. Because right now, we're on this panel to be heard. So we can work with others because we understand each other. Because there's a lot of community out there that say they're gonna do things for us. You know, I cannot say what is out there that say they're gonna help us, but we all know. We all went through that program. Go to this outfit, you go to that one, you go to this outreach, and yet nothing gets done. Nothing. How long already I've been waiting for help? Really, I never did get help from none of them. The only one that really helped me was Lisa. She the one made sure that we went and start all this process again with FEMA, with America. All that is all crap. They don't even do nothing.
So this is one of the pieces that we want to really highlight, and we want to be able to fill in the gaps. Share Your Mana follows the whole person, and we want to really advocate for more ability for some people in some agencies to really follow the whole person. And so when I meet somebody, it can take about a year to develop a relationship, a trusting relationship. And to really understand, Donald, what you just said is really important, in language and learning. So you do have to learn Pidgin. Yeah, you're gonna have to learn Pidgin if you're gonna kind of hang out in this crew, because it's an entirely different way of communicating, but there's also body language. There's a lot of body language that you're gonna learn about. There's a lot of the way somebody says something one day, and the tone of their voice can tell you what's happening with them. And you need to know and see the patterns with somebody. So it can take about a year to really understand someone's patterns. And this is where agencies are often really struggling, because can be a lot of turnover in an agency, and it certainly was with Red Cross and FEMA. They changed people over every 2 weeks, which is really harmful. And we were very clear that, and Brian, who's on he's the host of he was a facilitator for 18 months of the Disability Task Force with FEMA and Red Cross. Over and over again, we were just saying your system is not working, and it doesn't work. It certainly doesn't work for this community with disabilities, as you can't change people over. One of the things we really advocate for is following the entire person, and we do have an amazing case manager in the room who knows exactly what I'm talking about. That the agencies may not be funded for you to follow the whole person, even if you want to follow the whole person. So your agency may just be funded to handle one part of their problems. But like I said, if one agency is funded to help the hand, one agency's the head, one agency the knee, when you have an infection, it's in the whole body. Even if it started in the knee, it's in the whole body. And all of those need to be able to talk very easily together. And you need to have somebody who's following that for you, taking your notes, helping you to understand. How many meetings I've been in with people who said yes to something they completely didn't understand, or said no to something they completely didn't understand. And it wasn't until I asked them, as Brian has brought up before, motivational interviewing versus close-end statements, and really asking, what does that mean? Do you know what that means? Tell me what that means so we understand it. And if you don't have somebody that gets to know each other, and they know if I'm in, like when I have a headache, they know when I'm not feeling good, they know when I'm feeling great, they know when something great has happened. We know each other's body language so well. And that's what you need to build a community. And so when we talk about safe zones, this is a really fundamental piece of building a safe zone, is having some leadership that develops and within the community and helps each other, puts the puzzle pieces together. We're all pieces of the puzzle. Imagine again if we had to all sleep together for the next month. And we had to eat at certain times, and you come to certain, and and somebody mixed the medications up, or they just took it, or how do you handle that confrontation when there's no structure? This community knows how to create that structure, and they've never been given the chance. And I do believe when this community is given the chance with the resources, that they can do amazing things. And I've watched them do amazing things with each other, help each other, pool up. for people to start saying, I can do this and I cannot do this, those are really big words for people who have not had their voice. So when you start to say, yes, I think I can do this, or maybe if we can work together, be in partnership, that's the kind of trust building that is essential for the healing to happen, and certainly for all the things that have happened in your life, Donald and Jess and Chip, you know, how you came, and when like I said, when I first met you, your stress level was, it was heartbreaking to see how difficult everything, and to try and connect to all these agencies. So it's 3:15, and we're gonna make sure we're POW by 4. Does anybody want a bathroom break, or do you want to keep going? What do you want to do? Keep going? Bathroom break? Do you want to, well,
Cigarette break,
You want a 5-minute break?
five.
There's no such thing of that anymore, it's just very depressing.
You're on your own.
Hearing that we're still in this time, 2025, when 18 years ago, when I started this job, we could do that. I don't understand, where are the people, where are the workers, where are the people to support?
We do have work.
Sorry, this is my special son.
You are a beautiful person for coming today. Thank you so much. And we are back, and we're back with the group. Mahalo plenty for everybody who's retuning in, and we so appreciate Lori for being here today. You were one of the first people that I worked with when I came here, and I think one of the things it's difficult to express, and it's still, there needs to be a space for it, is we don't really feel like we've had any progress in the last 20 years.
Not.
And yet, I do believe that we do have the fundamental ability, we have the fundamental things, the necessary components. I believe that this makes it work.
Right.
And we have it, but we haven't been able to move it forward. It keeps getting stopped. We're not crooked. I think we're like a stream. We flow. And
But I think
15 years younger.
Right, I might stop, but I think you guys are on the right track, right? You guys are on the right track. I think just don't give up, keep getting, I think little by little, you guys will get that breakthrough. You know what I mean? I really believe that.
oh my gosh, thank you for that encouragement.
You guys are on the news, you guys are in the courts, you guys are in things that we used to do 18 years
So you know what?
right?
Why are we on the news and why are we on the court? You always say something
Okay,
about
go ahead.
how, Auntie Sonia, about how we get into rooms now. What happened? How do we do that?
Well, you stuck your feet into the door and then you just pull up.
So we have a kind of a metaphor in our life that is kind of true, and I was like, one of the things that's really valuable to everyone in this room and to anybody who's watching this is trust. And trust is earned, and trust can be broken, and trust can be repaired. And there are many times I think that what makes us different is we can go at it, like we go at it. And the beautiful thing is we walk away, we stand in the corner, we're like, wait, what's she trying to say? And then we have somebody, Auntie Sonia in the middle, or Chip is like, now ladies. And we all keep each other on track, and what we know is every single time we're together, we're always working towards the best. And we respect when the stress level is so high, you might not have the right words or you might not have the right timing. And we always understand that. We don't have to beg forgiveness from each other. And we know we're never insulting each other, even though we're having hard conversations. And sometimes, like, listen to me, if we raise our voice. But if we raise our voice, we don't like get mad at each other. You know, like I understand it. Like this is really hard. And sometimes the only way to get it out is to yell. And that's kind of a human thing. And so yelling is not an offensive thing because we're always helping each other. And yeah, you can be loud. much louder than me. That said, it's not a problem. So one of the pieces I want to end on is, I don't necessarily, we can end on whatever y'all want, but one of the key takeaways from today is trust. It's relationship building. It's believing that this can change and knowing that we can do it. Knowing that if we take small steps, small groups, we don't try to, like one of the things that we were really, we had a lot of, comments on was when they put that big tent facility up. And it's too big, it was too big. Like you start small and then you grow. You start small. A big avocado tree isn't born with all these, it starts, it grows, and when it gets nourished, it grows. We know that we can be that nourishment and that we have the tools to nourish. And when something goes, when a mistake is made, that we correct each other and that we welcome that and we're not offended by it. We're never offended when we correct each other. We thank each other for helping each other and we learn together. That's a really important part. And so we, on the board here, we have honesty and trust. That's one of the puzzle pieces. Safety. And what does safety mean?
Trust. Yeah.
What about collaboration? What does collaboration mean?
Working together. Also, knowledge, education.
Go ahead, Tim, put your microphone.
Also, knowledge also knowledge and education.
Yeah. And
I don't mean it's broadcasting.
Push him out. Right in.
there you go. And Chip, how much knowledge do you have about medical bottle versus person-centered recovery?
Oh, I have over almost 40 years now of experience in that field. Knowledge and also, working together, collaboration, as you would say.
Yeah, do you think you could lead a training?
I think together as a team we can lead the training. Not one individual, but together as a ohana.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that experience is incredibly valuable. I consider you have a strong expertise in that field. I see that. Yeah. Courage.
You need courage.
Oh, tell us
If you
about
don't have courage, you might as well just.
Do you think everybody has courage?
We do. They just don't. They don't have somebody to put it. You mean to let them know that. I've crossed paths with many people, and they say, I've been wanting to do what you guys doing, but we don't have support. And I said, well, then follow me. I'll take you straight to Lisa Dark. You go to jail, call 808-344-5322. She'll answer. I tell everybody that.
So courage, we actually believe everybody has courage. But we also believe that you might be in circumstances where you don't feel like you can exercise your courage and that you may not be rewarded for your courage. And that's a reality. We understand that. And we understand people in agencies that want to do more, that can't do more. They want their jobs. They want to keep their jobs. We understand that. We also understand that if we are going to get results, which you were asking for from the very beginning, we're going to have to change. We're going to have to change the way we do this. So please get in touch with your inner courage, and this team is here to help you find it. We could do a whole presentation on finding your courage for sure. That would be fun. What about Kuleana? How do you relate to why you're at this table and you're Kuleana?
Because it's our responsibility that people educate those that is not aware of what's going on here in the community.
And do you look out for your neighbor?
Of course. Whether they're house or not.
Automatic.
I just want to say thanks to Chip because I can get the bus for free.
Yeah, thanks. Chip is, I'm telling you, we learn from each other all the time. So we have Kuleana to teach each other. And what about Auntie Sonia? Endurance you said endurance. What is the significance of endurance?
Lasting through all this struggling and getting citations and all this, dealing with all the police and always coming over there and trying to keep us out when we just want to survive. We just want a place to stay and live and take care of each other.
Did you actually know you had this much endurance?
Yes. giving thanks to you for keeping me, not giving up. You would always pick me up when I want to fall, and you wouldn't let me fall. So thank you for all your help and support.
Oh, yeah. It's always, it's a pleasure. People ask me, how do you keep doing this? How do you keep doing this? And my response is, how do you not? This is like the best. I never had a dream of having a picket fence. Like I said in the first presentation, I never understood owning land. I don't believe in owning land. It's not part of who I am or what I understand. And so this is a really natural place for me to exist as a human being with this puzzle piece. And this is only 8 of many of the pieces of the puzzle that we thought were really important. I think it's really appropriate that we reflect on the last one, which is ohana and community. And the fact that there are so many people from so many different walks of life, so many different ages, so many different life experiences. Stitch, who's here, I just adore that he was like the sound man for Johnny Carson, and all the places you've been in life, and you trained as a SEAL, right?
A Navy SEAL.
A Navy SEAL, and he comes right in here today, and he starts looking at the sound system. He's like, oh man, I can do better. He's like, find out who can open that box up because we got to tweak this. And so there's so much skill in every person that I meet, and when you are forced to live in these spaces that are just violent towards you, all of your skills a lot of times get covered up by just survival. And I think one of the things that we do best with each other is we know each other through our skills, and we see each other as a person before we see each other as a ball of just chaos. But the community tends, and the narrative has been, and the dialogue has been that you're just a ball of chaos and problems, and you're really an incredible skill set. Yeah, and we didn't touch enough about, and we can't today, just to have compassion for people that do use substances to manage the chaos. If you weren't using any sort of substances, by the time you have to live in these conditions, you probably end up just to mentally manage it. So it's the amount of suicide that has happened and people ending their life because they haven't had the endurance, and they do, they can't find the peace, and that's a very real place. It's a very dark space, and sometimes it's a liberating space, and we need to have more conversations about suicide prevention, and that these conditions accelerate that, and how important that is. I want to just give each one of you the opportunity to what do you want the community to know about the work that we're doing as a team, and what kind of questions you hope that they're asking now? Like what curiosities I hope that we pique some people's curiosity and that they want to learn more. But what would you like to say to anybody that might review this video maybe next week when they're washing their dishes or something, if they're listening? What message would you like to share with them?
I would like to ask for funding, share your money. Because you are a non-profit, so yeah, share your money. If you guys can fund us and let us keep going. Nowadays everything is expensive. Renting a hall is expensive, but we need funding. We need the support from you guys.
Is there anything specific that would help us?
The office.
Yeah, office.
So when we say funding, if anybody has any extra space they can donate, we just need an office. We just need a place where we can plug in. We need electricity.
And a generator.
And a generator. No, we don't just
I do have a generator.
All right. So thank you for that. I'm thrilled you're now going to be on. We're going to have to be a fundraiser on the board. Okay. Jess, what would you like? And when the community.
Aside from the office, like adequate shower, a place to use the restroom, you know, and throw our trash.
Go bigger and go bolder. What else would you like? I just think it's fundamental. Land. And why do you want land?
And I feel that way because I just believe in my heart that Maui County have not been able to provide that for us. I never came out here to get the money when I went in for the lawsuit. I just wanted to be heard. I mean that you cannot treat people, if these are your people of Maui and you have the reign over us, you cannot treat them like that. And so that's why I started accumulating all these cards that work. So if not, I'm just gonna go try to get a loan and use the cards as my collateral. At least this way people can go there and then start to heal the healing process. Because you're not gonna be able to heal if you're gonna go in there in the morning and then you gotta pull all your stuff out. Because you have a bunch of attitudes on your hands. People be copying attitude because at the same time it becomes stressful. I want to be able people to know that you can be able to come there and it's a we thing, not an I thing. But there's boundaries that, I mean, we all gonna just pitch into the island, and those that are working, I just want them to give $50 every check. So we've been paying for our own porta potty and our own trash. But that's where we're at right now.
All right, thank you. Yeah, go big. Chip?
Well, one of the things I'd like to see them do is stop the illegal sweeps. You know, I think that is gone far too long, and you need to stop it now. Also, Sarah Umana needs an office so that people can use it. You have a bathroom to go to, charge their cell phones, have refrigeration, receive mail, have it a place where they can have an ID so they're not quote quote non-existent. Because without a valid ID, it's a stopper for a lot of things. And this needs to be changed. We need to change. And we should not be, the state should not be charging for a basic ID. Driver's license, that's a different story. But if you don't have an ID, you don't exist. And you should be charged. The Jim Crow laws need to stop now.
Oh my gosh. See, now I get excited when you start talking about Jim Crow laws.
Yeah, I've been housed now for 10 years. I'm very thankful, but there was a time that I wasn't. And why should we be arrested because we don't have quote unquote an address, a place to live? Because it's wrong.
Or own property, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the property is not owned, it is rented. People that quote unquote own property are actually paying property taxes. They're renting from the county. That's what it is when you look right down to it, or the state of Hawaii.
Right on, right on. And I want to ask, are each of you willing to be a trainer?
Sure.
Yeah? Well, you actually already are because you're up here, so it's a little bit of a trick question, but automatic. Do we have any comments or questions from anybody in the audience? We're so grateful you're here today. We didn't really even get to touch on the amount of people who are kapunas who are now in these circumstances, the amount of people with significant disabilities that are not getting their disabilities attended to and therefore are even in more danger, and deaths, how many deaths are being accelerated because of this. This is a really heavy conversation, and it's a very necessary conversation. So everybody who tuned in today, I'm really grateful. And we have one question and comment. Hold on.
I just wanted to say that I don't know the inspiration for Jessica Lau and Sonia Davis to make that step towards the Hawaii State Supreme Court process. But it was not in vain, and I know that it's ongoing in Maui County, and there's still yet, things to be unfolded. But I think that is tremendously brave and courageous. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that just you're both in a league of your own.
Lisa gave us the bigger cajon.
Yeah. Just thank you.
And that really comes around. So everybody in this group, whether you know it or not, is plays a part in this. and everybody who talks to me like in the dairy aisle, like at Foodland, and pulls me aside and says, hey, you know, I want to introduce myself and I see what you're doing, and I'm really grateful for it. And everybody who, you know, trying to walk down the street with Jessica and Sonia, forget about it. Just, you might as well just get comfortable, put the umbrella up because you're gonna be there a while. You're really, somebody called me in, and it's not me, and gave me the Hometown Hero Award during COVID, and it's not me, it's this group. And so I accept an honor for this group, but this group is dependent on you, the audience. If you aren't listening and you don't activate, they both have to be hand in hand. You have to listen and you have to activate. If you don't activate, it's an echo chamber, it's a sound, it's silence. And we get that all day long when people don't call back, when agencies don't follow up, when the invitation to our council, you know, we want to hear, and we will even happy to be here. No, just say no, but don't ignore us and don't ignore these needs. So, and just say no, and we're going to work towards this. We have replaced no but with no and. We really swap that word change out in our lives and everything changes. So I just want to say how much personally I am indebted to this community who has, again, welcomed me in at all times of the day and night, who trust me to call me at all times of the day and night, and who one day I would, you know, when we get funded, we will be able to train people that can respond at all times of the day and night. And just to be able to, oh no, we got some shortlisters around. And there are plenty of people that I believe would be qualified to work at Share Your Mana and to do this work and have the skill set. And it's a very complex skill set. I do believe there are people out there, and I do believe we can grow this, and we can grow it with more community support and with people feeling safe enough to say, yeah, this is wrong. And we do need to change it. And I know it's happened before, but we got to change it. And there's no better time than today to do that. And it takes one little step to change. So I am, again, completely in amazement, and I have deep bows for everybody here. I'm so grateful. We will be doing, this is just the first. We'll be doing one of these every quarter, and we can change the format a little bit. However, it's always going to be driven by the advisory committee, and those members do switch out to support each other. This is very energetic. It takes a lot out of people to do this. And we're going to grow, and this team is going to train more people, and we welcome that in. And I also would like to today expand some people. There are community members who have been doing the footwork in the community once they learned about Share Your Mana and the philosophy, and they align with that philosophy. And I'd like to bring some of them into the voices as well. So I want to expand our panel and what we discuss. So I can't thank you enough. I can't mahalo this community enough for coming, or anybody who does follow this. Yay. And say, we did it! Our first of a kind. I don't know any other community-driven panel by lived experts and people with an incredible amount of expertise. I don't think that Maui County or maybe even Hawaii has seen a group like this before. So proud of you, and let's keep thinking about how we strengthen and how we can be better collaborators and in stronger partnership. And anybody in the community, thank you so much, and we'll be back. Hello.
Thanks, everybody. Oh my gosh.
You know, I